Sorry about that. The computer screen went to sleep, and I didn't realize what had happened. We'll just continue. How you're affected depends on what kind of social circumstances you belong to. So in a sense, this idea of intersectionality, as the left point talks about all the time, is useful in a way in looking at how anyone should be expected to behave, but it's sort of different strokes for different folks. Someone who's very bonded to other people in a family or in an extended family and in a minority group, and who works in the services, is going to be affected much more in a much different way than I am. I'm much better able in the short run to protect myself, even though I'm elderly at 77. And so my issues are very different from someone else's. So categories, even though the left harps on them, people do matter. It's just that we shouldn't treat people differently just because they belong to different categories. We should treat people as individuals. Now, my situation in life was not typical for most gay men. Most gay men, I would say, are physically is competitive with other men, and simply are attracted to men. That's more common with men who are not the firstborn son of a family. I actually was. I'm an only child, and I have what you call dyspraxia, so I don't fit the actual pattern that you hear about in literature today. So my situation is quite different. I got into a situation where I could get out of things and still become influential. Part of my history, for example, was that when I was in graduate school, I was teaching math. I was teaching algebra for undergraduates, remedial algebra, and I could flunk people and make them more eligible for a bad outcome with the draft. And then when I went in, because I had a master's degree, I got out of a lot of things, out of going to Vietnam, although I had an interesting experience with special training. So my experience of things being demanded of you because of the outside world as a man, they're very, I have an experience with that today I think a lot of people just don't grasp. But I think my biggest sin was that I got a break from people who were stronger than me and luckier physically. But I don't seem to be willing to extend that favor to other people and to pay it back in a sense, or to pay it forward. There's an interesting question as to why I was targeted at William and Mary as being different. After skipping the incident that kind of triggered it was by not showing up for the hazing ceremony or the tribunals. That's a long story, and I won't cover it right here, but it was clear to people I would not assimilate into a group when it was necessary, and that was actually an issue that came up in grade school in third grade when I would not bond to others in a normal way. That was something people were very worried about. They thought of this at first as homosexuality, the sissy boy thing and everything, and because of the climate then at the time, the Cold War, McCarthyism and everything, and because there were sodomy laws on the books, they thought it was all right to think about it that way and process it that way. And so they missed the point of the entire problem. But yeah, they did not want me to get away with outflanking other people. Now today, my business model of offering free content, no advertising, for example, well, let's see if I can find, for example, this blog. Here's my blog posting about Section 230 hearings on Wednesday, or here's my master do ask do tell site, or here's my movie review site about, this is a book review about Fareed Zakaria's book, for example, or some of my other blogs, for example. Here's another posting about Section 230 on another platform. I don't ask for donations or patronage. I actually can't legally because I have a trust to administer. I have inherited money, so I really can't. But my objective is to get people into critical thinking. I'm able to offer nuanced arguments. For example, the way I handled the don't ask, don't tell issue, talking about the draft if we ever were to have it again, and the way I talk about lockdowns now, I'm able to offer arguments of how we could get back to work and reopen the economy without taking all the risks that, for example, Trump is taking. How there is a right way to do it. I've talked about it before, rapid tests and so forth. I am spending time on that. But I don't like to pimp people for money. I don't like to send people to have email lists and send people and ask for things, or join or beg or call, address people by their name. You know how people contact you online and beg for things, but yet my resistance to it sounds like I think these people are not good enough for me, so it sounds like a very supercilious attitude. I realize that there's that get with the program, you're not better than us, join the crowd, or you're going to be, they're going to come after you. I understand that. I even understand that in the past, for example, Stonewall was very dependent on willingness of people to engage in conventional activism. There is a quid pro quo problem. For example, I think in the environment that we're going to have after if Biden wins and so forth, or after the election and everything, I think it may be much harder to be allowed to stay online with any kind of branded presence unless you are willing to pay your dues, willing to actually advocate, participate in things that are expected, like anti-racism or allyship or something. That sounds like a quid pro quo to me. Or that you would be expected to help other people who actually need it, very specifically in a very public manner online. So it makes it clear that those people matter to you and personally. With the upward affiliation issue that I've talked about online a lot, that would be a real problem for me. It is seen by some people as meaning I don't think other people matter, and that ties into, for example, Black Lives Matter, or whether all people matter. I have that sign over there. The mask issue, whether or not bars are going to stay closed forever so that schools can open, whether bars or discos will ever even open again as we know them, that's really a question right now. Also, I resist being willing to belong to groups after the people that attracted me to the groups move on. That's another issue. But anyway, I wanted to summarize where I was today. This is a quick video. I didn't have time to do anything fancy. I am going to work on making production values for these videos more appropriate if I'm able to stay on after I reorganize at the end of another year. I've talked about that before. Thanks.